are these people?
We had Sam Husseni earlier this evening, but I figured I'd bring Sam Husseni again. I feel like he has another article that went unnoticed by people, so we're going to cover it. But he's writing to end the appeasement, how South Africa should be getting more emergency orders from the ICJ on Gaza. Now, he wrote this May the 20th. This was before the actual meeting of South African diplomats and, President Trump. So we'll get into that as well. But Husseni writes, Trump is scheduled to meet with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on Wednesday. Israel is escalating its incredible criminality by the hour. Trump, on February the 7th, signed an executive order attacking South Africa. The first paragraph highlights South Africa has taken aggressive positions toward the United States and its allies, including accusing Israel, not Hamas, of genocide in the International Court of Justice. So this is the quiet part out loud. They just write this in official statements. So this is why you know what they're doing. So it seems fairly evident to me, Husseni, that the Trump administration pushing this ridiculous white genocide line is designed to do the following. A, retaliate against South Africa for going to the ICJ regarding the actual genocide in Gaza to get them to back off more. B, cheapen the public discourse over genocide, helping turn it into just another meaningless slur. C, make it seem like Trump is... Make it seem like Trump is standing up for alleged oppressed white folks to pay some white working class voters who don't perceive that it's actually, again, for Israel, similar to how they repackaged Palestine protest as an immigration issue. And D, push back against BRICS to the extent it's challenging U.S. establishment dominance or appears to be doing so. So I feel like we're pretty much in agreement with Sam Husseni, as we said last week. If you go check our, what was that segment called, Gabe Bear? The South African refugees, something like that.
Basically.
Yeah. So go find that. But here is from the White House, right? In addition, South Africa has taken aggressive positions toward the United States and its allies, right? So they're literally putting this in official documentation. So, yeah. But South Africa invoked the Genocide Convention in the late 2023 after many people, myself included, pushed for it. In the first several months of 2024, South Africa asked for a series of emergency orders from the ICJ. This was excellent. On May 24th, they got a strong order demanding that Israel stop its attack on Rafah. What happened with Rafah? South Africa can be urged... can be urged to push for additional orders. Other nations could do likewise. Countries like UNSC member Algeria should be pushed to get proper resolutions through the Security Council to implement those orders. Algeria failed to do so for the May 2024 order on Rafah. The U.S. government would obviously veto such resolutions, but its criminality should be exposed more and more. Critically, what's needed is for the UN General Assembly to pass resolutions using Uniting for Peace with teeth to make Israel stop. These can include an arms embargo, economic sanctions, even the use of a peacekeeping force. But South Africa has not attempted to get more emergency orders since its May 29th elections last year, which saw the ANC enter into a coalition government with the so-called Democratic Alliance. Naledi Pandor, who had been foreign minister, lost her seat. Final judgment on its case was recently delayed by an additional 6 months, which is an outrage. In January 2024, Ramaphosa actually warned of foreign meddling in the election because of the ICJ case. Patrick Bond had stressed that the Ramaphosa government had other corporate interests and is even continuing economic ties to Israel. In video, State Department asked for evidence from Decensored News, highlights various notable issues and features a timeline of Trump's administration's statements and actions regarding the alleged genocide of white South Africans in relation to various events related to Israel's genocide against the Palestinians. I have that article linked down below if you want to go look at the timeline they lay out. It's actually well brought together, but At Thursday's State Department press briefing, Deputy Spokesman Tommy Pigot was asked to provide evidence that a genocide is taking place against white South Africans, as Trump has claimed, and about whether the State Department is conducting a formal genocide investigation. He repeatedly dodged these and other related questions, robotically reciting the same talking point over and over. Commenting on the video, Sam Husseni wrote that the Trump administration is quite clearly going to town on the South African genocide line for several reasons, which we mentioned earlier. So here's this guy, dancing around actual questions. So we'll check this out.
I want to ask you about Secretary Lando's trip out to Dulles to greet the South African refugees and
the 50.
State Department decision-making about the genocide designation that's under consideration, which the president had mentioned as genocide is happening there.
But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are being killed. They happen to be white. But whether they're white or black makes no difference to me.
With American flags in hand, South African families are shuffled in front of cameras as they take some of their first steps on U.S. soil.
I want you all to know that you are really welcome here.
With cameras rolling, Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau addresses the group of white South Africans who the administration is proposing to classify as refugees.
There is a lot of evidence, public evidence, that is in open sources of farmers, white farmers not wanting to come, of black killings exceeding by large measure white killings in the crime problem that they do have, and that there is no white genocide to justify this kind of extraordinary accelerated refugee process for white South Africans. On the same day that temporary protective status was withdrawn from Afghans, thousands of them, many of whom are sponsored by U.S. military veterans because they were their translators.
In his first week in office, President Trump shut America's door to refugees from all around the world, including victims of genocide and war. Now, the president is making an exception for one group of people.
What is the status of any kind of genocide investigation on what is happening to white South Africans?
Well, the president has been very clear, the concerns that he has in terms of South Africa. He has expressed those publicly and often. What we have seen, again, is a president being very clear about concerns he has regarding South Africa and the treatment of Afrikaners in South Africa.
Is there data to back that up?
Oh,
Or is it all anecdotal from advisors?
Well, this has been a concern that the president's had for a very long time. He's been clear about that for years, about the abuses we are seeing in South Africa.
Is there a formal genocide investigation underway at the State Department?
Like, again, the president has spoken to this. I refer you to his comments. Nothing further to add on that front.
Just to follow up,
So now,
what evidence can you share today from the podium to underscore there's a genocide going on in South Africa against the white?
Well, look, the president, again, has been very clear on this. I refer you to his comments.
No, he hasn't. That's why we're fucking asking you.
Saw arrive. That is that same
pause right here.
statute for refugees. And there were
Simple thing, and maybe I didn't see this clip, but like if there was such a concern with a genocide in South Africa against white farmers, why doesn't the U.S. make a case with the ICJ?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, I feel like, have them investigate it and then make the case, but they have not done that. So, I mean, that to me just seems a very simple thing to ask.
Right.
Like, if there is such a case, why isn't the ICJ on it?
Yep.
So, we'll see if they ask that, but I doubt it. But to me, that's the most obvious thing to ask, given what's happening in Gaza.
Yep.
So,
there were harrowing stories that they told about the treatment that they suffered.
And you don't want to speak to any racial reasoning for allowing them to come in being white refugees versus not allowing any Latino
Let me guess.
or
No.
people of color coming into the U.S. as refugees.
No, I don't want to talk about
Fundamentally,
that.
what we have seen are harrowing stories from those
Harrowing
refugees. And again,
stories
just looking at
from
the scenario,
refugees.
we have heard harrowing stories here. That is what.
Oh, really? Harrowing stories?
Is at issue here. The fact that these people have gone through certain conditions. We've seen that Center for Refugees apply. They have gone through this process. It's a priority from the president, and that's why we're seeing the actions that were taken.
The determination of genocide is normally something that is determined by the Secretary of State. So just want to clarify, are you saying that this is now something that is determined by the President of the United States? And that's why I think Andrew was asking if there is an investigation in this building into whether that designation for genocide is being determined in this building still, or if something has changed.
Well, again, as I said, the president's been very clear about the issues that we have regarding South Africa.
No, he
He's been
hasn't.
very clear on that continually. I have nothing further to add at this
But
point.
it's a legal determination. It's not a determination made by the President of the United States. That's why we're asking.
Again, I address this issue in terms of the president's been very clear about the issues we've seen from the State Department's perspective. There's a priority laid out by the president. We are fulfilling that priority. And again, the stories that we have heard are harrowing.
Well, I'm glad he memorized the fucking cue card, I guess. Jesus Christ. Fucking, it's very clear, Collin. Very clear. Harrowing stories. Fucking
Harrowing
dumb.
stories.
So, we would add that it also cheapens the word genocide as the Trump administration helps carry one out with their partners in Israel. On Saturday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio himself was asked the same basic questions on Face the Nation. Like Pigou, he dodged the question about a formal genocide investigation and failed to provide evidence about what's happening in South Africa. So, here's this.
President Trump claims there's a genocide underway in South Africa.
It's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about.
That's a legal determination. The State Department would make it. Are you trying to determine that now?
I will determine that these people are having their properties taken from them. They can call it whatever they want, but these are people that on the basis of their race are having their properties taken away from them and their lives being threatened and in some cases killed.
In fact, is there evidence of a genocide that you
they
have?
are in favor. I think there's evidence absolutely that people have been murdered, that people have been forcibly removed from their properties.
Okay. Okay, if that's the basis, let me show you another little strip of land with 2 million people in it, dog. You know, where their fucking land is being taken, you fucking mook. Jesus Christ. God, I hate that he's from this fucking state. Fuck, he's an idiot. So, in December 2024, the Daily Maverick reported South Africa's incoming ambassador, U.S. Ibrahim Rasool, says he will put away South Africa's megaphone on Gaza to avoid antagonizing President Trump and other Republicans, gunning to kick South Africa out of AGOA because of its stances on contentious foreign policy issues like the Middle East, Russia's war against Ukraine, and China. So, yeah, they're saying, look, you better fucking get your mind right. You're going to come over here. Pretty much. So here's Sam Husseni. Trump and Israel are inflicting atrocities on Palestinians every hour, and you can do more to stop it, sir. They replying to Cyril Ramaphosa, right? So from the desk of the president. So exactly the wrong instinct. South Africa should up the megaphone. By March, Rasool was expelled by the Trump admin. Keep in mind that Nicaragua invoked the Genocide Convention against Germany for its support of Israel's genocide. No country did that against the U.S. government because the U.S., unlike Israel and Germany, has never recognized the ICJ's power to adjudicate the Genocide Convention in such a manner. Trump and Biden ramped up this disregard for international law in the service of the Gaza genocide. Ramaphosa.
As I said.
Yep.
You do not have the moral high ground in calling MAGA everything but a child of God when you voted for Biden, like what he was doing, and he ignored that. So shut up.
Ramaphosa should inform Trump that international law and human life means something. South Africa or virtually any other country should go to the ICJ for additional emergency orders to stop Israel's latest hypercriminality. Now, well, Collin, they decided to meet, right? The whole genocide of white people shtick is an unbelievably weak and pathetic comeback by Israel at South Africa for launching the Gaza genocide case. Donald Trump is making a complete buffoon of himself in the U.S. by becoming a tool for his utterly idiotic and embarrassing stratagem, says Alon Mizrahi. Here's Marwa Osman. The irony is biblical. Donald Trump sitting in the Oval Office, wagging a finger at South African President Ramaphosa, accusing him of a genocide against white farmers, a conspiracy theory debunked ages ago. Ramaphosa calmly asked, where exactly is this happening? Trump dodges, citing very good information. Spoiler, he ain't got none. Trump will boldly confront a president over a genocide that isn't happening, yet he won't dare confront Benjamin Netanyahu over the genocide that is actually happening in Gaza. No questions for Netanyahu as Gaza is bombed into dust. No Oval Office lectures while children are pulled from the rubble. No outrage while entire generations are wiped off the map. But he pulls out his chair for him. So, you know. And let's not miss the timing. South Africa dragged Israel to the International Court of Justice for Genocide. Now suddenly Trump is trying to pin genocide on them. Classic projection. Israel's fingerprints are all over this desperate PR stunt. So while Gaza bleeds, Trump points fingers at the wrong country for the wrong crime to protect the right war criminal. History will remember who looked away. So, Husseni, none of these South African ministers thought to bring an iPad and show some of the hourly carnage from Gaza. They were too busy begging for Starlink. So, here's Trump, brought a TV in, right? We've seen this clip before. You know? This lady's smile is hilarious, though. Right? We've seen that before. Except, guess what, Care Bear? That is not part of the administration. So, community notes coming in. The man in the video is Julius Malema. He is the leader of EFF, the opposition party in South Africa. He was expelled from ANC in 2012. Although Kill the Boer is a controversial song, it should not be taken literally. This is an anti-apartheid song dating back decades. Right? Again, EFF is a minority party in South Africa. There is no genocide happening in South Africa, right? With multiple links to, like, you know, fucking, anyway. So, Sam Husseni, this is what happens when you stop talking about Gaza, which, look at this fucking chud bullshit. Trump's balls are massive. Well, why don't you fucking suck them, you fucking piece of shit? Jesus Christ.
Thank you very much, Steve.
What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation that we've just seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. 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 Horrible death. Death. I don't know. To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence, racist laws.
I believe what he's showing is based on what's happening in Congo.
Congo, yeah.
Not South Africa.
I'm going to get to it.
And this is all, I mean, I'll give these to you. So when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couple say, that they were attacked violently. And,
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is indeed true?
well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried. And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter.
Just punch him in the face. He's 2 feet from you. Do it. Choke that man out.
I'm just.
Anyway.
Can we get a report from President Trump?
Fucking shut up. Jesus Christ. So, it's just fucking wild, dude. Anyway, here you go.
In some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
No. To take land.
Nobody can
take land. And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No. There is
nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now been utilized.
The farmers are not black.
Yes, they are, you fucking dumb fuck.
The farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off. They died violently. And, you know, I mean, we're here.
We've never been a part of killing people violently, though.
Here, but I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake, like NBC, which is fake news, totally, one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they weren't fake news like this jerk that we have here, if we had real reporters, they'd be covering it. But the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that. They don't want to talk about it, but now they have to talk about it. But they won't. This won't even be a subject. They'll have him talking about why did a country give a free, think of this, why did a country give an airplane to the United States Air Force?
Yeah, why?
United States, not to me. To
why
the
would they do
United
that?
States Air Force, so they could help us out because we need
Just because
Air Force One until our.
Trump is a fucking business deal. You never do shit for free. He knows this. He's a shit fucking businessman, but he knows this shit.
Air Force One, it's being built. 2 of them being built. But Boeing's a little bit late, unfortunately. So why did they give us a plane to the United States Air Force? That's what that idiot talks about after viewing a thing where thousands of people are dead.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I would
Yeah.
I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay.
What a fucking dude. It's just fucking.
I don't want to do this no more.
Fucking stupid shit, dude. Anyway, so Sam Husseni again. Apparently, it was worse behind closed doors. Ramaphosa says he complimented Trump on his peace building in the Middle East. We said we'd compliment you on the efforts you're making.
No, it didn't come up. And we got an impression that President Trump's approach to the ICJ is that, let the process unfold, but at the same time to focus on peace building in the Middle East, precisely what we complimented him on. We said, we compliment you for the efforts that you're making to build peace, because we as South Africa also want to be part of that process. And we want to be part of that process even between Israel and Palestine, to be able to participate in a peace-building process, so that in the end there should be peace between Israel and its neighboring countries, particularly Palestine. So the ICJ issue did not arise during the night.
Two-state, all that.
Fucking dummy.
Yeah.
Fuck him. Colin's face is just fucking great. Just screenshot that for me. Thank you.
I mean, I shouldn't be. I'm not surprised, but I'm trying to think out the logic of why Ramaphosa would like reverse psychology, maybe. But
right, yeah.
Why? Maybe.
Why?
I don't
Why?
know. Like,
Why?
I don't get why he's buttering up Trump, considering what he said and what he's doing. I guess I don't know. Yeah, we're not fans of Ramaphosa here either. So whatever.
You,
but
I'm
just kind of at a loss for words.
Friend of the show, Zay Squirrel, what Trump did to the South African president shows the contempt the U.S. and West generally have for anyone they consider to be weak and who dares defy their Zionist depravity. Accusing them of a bullshit fake genocide, all of Israeli Zionist masters doing an actual genocide. I know there are economic considerations, but South Africa can't let this stand. They must immediately cut off all diplomatic ties with the U.S., make the full turn to China. You are the most advanced African nation. Do not let these genocidal Zionist scum treat you like this. I'd argue don't let China do it either. It's the current South African government is too pathetic to do this and will just sit down and take this disgusting humiliation imposed on them by genocidal Zionist subhumans like Trump. Then the EFF and Julius Malema will do the right thing and restore their honor and dignity. It was a huge mistake to even go there. Did you not see what he did to his Arab puppet slave boy, King Abdullah of Jordan, making him blink so fast in fear and terror that he was about to get cucked, frightened to death of saying even a single purely symbolic word against Trump's Israeli masters? Say what you want about him, but at least Sisi was smart enough to cancel the humiliation ritual. Why did you subject yourself to this? That by itself was already a grave act of political malpractice. The only reason you should have gone there was if you were going to forcefully call out Trump's depraved, deranged Zionist rants and stand up for the sovereignty and dignity of your own country. Instead, you let yourself be treated like pathetic, weak, powerless servants. Again, if the current government and president do not immediately cut off all diplomatic ties and instead just accept this humiliation ritual, they must go. The South African people cannot accept this. Let Malema show you what real dignity, honor, and sovereignty looks like. You were saying? Just same
all
shit?
That.
Agreement? Well,
yeah, all of that. Like, it just, yeah.
Also, the entire media and political class will ignore this, but Trump, the Zionist cunt, in his recent speech to his Arab puppet slave said, "We do not want to interfere in your domestic affairs." This is celebrated by MAGA cunts as a huge momentous shift away from neocon globalism to America First nationalism. But of course, it's a fucking joke. The MAGA Trump Zionists do nothing but interfere in the domestic affairs of other countries if they dare defy the dictates of the US, NATO, Israeli Zionist empire. Cuba, Venezuela, Bolivia, Brazil, Ecuador, Peru, South Africa, Iran, Libya, names the country, and you will find Zionist Trump-appointed neocons doing their typical enforcement with threats and implementations of sanctions, a euphemism for economic terror campaigns that have killed tens of millions, the weaponization of terror proxies like the MEK targeted at Iran, and the Zionist Jelani fascist death and rape squads that were put into power in Syria, and of course the direct threats and acts of war like they did against Yemen and are going to do imminently against Iran. But who is exempted? The US, NATO, Israeli, Arab shield puppet regimes who operate vast networks of rape dungeons where they mass torture and kill anyone who writes a slightly critical tweet of their rape dictators, and who fund and arm death and rape squads in Sudan, Syria, Libya, and all over the world. J.D. Vance, who was a slave of Zionist billionaire Peter Thiel, went to Germany to scold the Europeans for not allowing enough free speech, by which he meant the speech of genocidal Zionists like himself, as he and the entire Trump regime fully support the European fascist Zionist censorship and suppression of anyone who was anti-genocide, and began enforcing the same in the US with the kidnapping of anti-genocide people. Trump is a pure globalist except he is even more fanatical and crazed in his slavish devotion to Zionism than his predecessors. He is even more fanatical enforcer of Zionist hegemony than others who came before him. This is, of course, the irony, that the entire MAGA movement is rhetorically filled with endless rage whining about globalism, the W-wave Klaus Schwab Soros, while itself being the most ideal expression of globalist Zionist hegemony. So, said the damn thing, didn't she? Ramaphosa playing pathetic defense while he should be wagging his finger at Trump about the Gaza genocide he is helping to conduct, like he can't pull out an iPad and show clips of tons of carnage by Imperial Israel from just the last few days. Same with Husseni on it as well. Alon Mizrahi, white supremacist, the U.S. has never had a racism problem, but let us tell you about the predicament of white people in Africa. Yeah, okay. Husseni, I hope Ramaphosa and every minister at the meeting are greeted with heaps of rotting fruit when they arrive back in South Africa. They glad-handed someone actually committing genocide, and he accused them of genocide while unwilling to call him out. Pathetic, says Sam Husseni. Yeah. Closing thoughts?
Yeah, that. Yeah, it just makes him look extremely weak. And I don't get why. Like, it's not like you have anything to owe Trump at this point in terms of not standing up. Well, if it's one thing to not stand up for Gaza, it's another thing not to stand up for your own fucking country.
Right.
You know, so he should be disgraced. But then again, he's another liberal shill too. So again, I'm not surprised, but yeah, Zai got right. This is a humiliation ritual, which it's stereotypical. It hurts. It's so stereotypical and racist. It hurts because that's almost kind of what you would expect from a black man to kind of grovel down to, I'll say, somewhat dumb, idiotic white man who seemingly has more power. And when South Africa basically has the means to control the strings here. So again, I don't understand why he was basically like licking Trump's balls when he should have called him out for what's happening in Gaza as well as what's happening in his own country, and kind of basically saying, you know, like, you're an idiot. Like, as you said, he should have choked him out. So
yeah, do something.
I don't
throw them bows, dog.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Me either. Fucking just what? Anyway, well, talking about these things is probably why YouTube demonetizes us. So if you want to give us some money anyway, you can go to kodashv.com/indienewsnetwork or scan that QR code on your screen. You know, INN is brought to you by viewers such as yourselves. But, you know, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you can't give monetarily, we just appreciate that you share the video. Get this to more people. Let them know what's happening. Leave a comment. You know, let us know what you think of our segments and what we could do better, all that jazz. Otherwise, thanks for watching.